Hey everybody, earlier this week there was no new episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and so I sort of put off doing a video on last week's episode until now. And we should have a new episode this Tuesday. I'm not positive on that, but I think probably we will. That's what I read anyway. I tend not to look ahead too much because I don't want to know details about each episode. And that was helpful this time around as well. Some of the twists I didn't really see coming. Excuse me. So, Skye, played by Chloe Bennet. We learned more about her in this last episode, which is called The Girl in the Flower Dress, than we ever had in any previous episode, and unfortunately it's all bad. It seems that she's motivated to joining S.H.I.E.L.D. because she wants to find out information on her parents. She found basically a redacted file, redacted by S.H.I.E.L.D. on her parents, which she just doesn't know anything. I don't know what her situation is. I don't know, if she grew up in an orphanage or what, but her parents are not around and she doesn't know anything about what happened to them, and so she figured the best way to get that information was to join S.H.I.E.L.D. when she was invited to, and get at the information from the inside. Now, what's sad about this, of course, is that all the people on the bus, were starting to trust her and really like her and see her as a valuable part of the team, and her actions in this episode just, ruined all of that. So everyone's wants to get rid of her. Once she tells Coulson exactly why she wants to be there, he sort of puts her on probation. Her boyfriend, Leiden, the other Rising Tide hacker, gets this bracelet, which is going to track his movements and apparently prevent him from using computers. And in the last scene with Skye, she puts on one of those bracelets as well, which is very, very sad. Scientists, Fitz and Simmons, they, at least one of them seems to be kind of on her side, understanding exactly what it was that she was trying to do. She keeps insisting that she wasn't warning Leiden about S.H.I.E.L.D. coming after him to betray them or as a hacktivist or whatever, but because they are friends, and in fact they are former lovers and everything like that. And so this makes them trust her even less. I noticed one thing that Skye didn't pick up on. As she is tracking the hacked information stream and finding out that it originated in Austin, Texas, Coulson, I think, says, let's set a course for Austin, and Agent May says, already done. But she didn't actually do anything. She didn't have like some remote she filled with the remote program the jet, because she's not even in the cockpit. And I saw this and I went, oh, wait a minute, Skye missed that. If she had noticed that had happened, she would have realized they were onto her early. That whole scene with her talking about Rising Tide and how she wants to help track the guy or something like that, and that she's really has the best of intentions. And Ward is standing with her, and he says to Coulson, I believe her, we should give her a chance to blah, blah, this and that. That was all just a scene, because they must have done enough research into her background to know that this guy Leiden and her had a personal connection, since they were both Rising Tide hackers, and that she knew him personally, and that if she were to trace the signal back to him in Austin, that she would probably pretend like she didn't know the guy, and that's exactly what she did, of course. But she didn't notice that they were already on a course for Austin, Texas, before she even started her trace. So boo on her for not noticing that. So what else happened here? We saw the doctor again, the evil centipede doctor, who I figured out is played by Shannon Luccio. And unfortunately she gets killed. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that there are spoilers in this. I do this every video I say. I'm going to be talking about the whole episode, including the ending, so please don't watch. I'll have to put an annotation, I'm sorry. Anyway, yeah, sorry, spoilers. I recognized her from a few different things I'd seen before, but I couldn't place her in that in the pilot episode. She was actually on Grey's Anatomy. That's like the most high-profile thing I can think of that she was in. When O'Malley got killed by the bus, she spent like 2 episodes crying over him and wishing that he had lived. And all the other residents at the hospital are making fun of her because she didn't even know the guy, and then they go and they make fun of all the other storylines that are ridiculous during the last season. That was kind of a fun episode. The first time I think I saw her was in Spring Break Shark Attack, and I went, "Whoa, she's pretty." So pleased to see her, but not so pleased that she got killed off. And she got killed off, of course, by this guy Chan Ho-yin, also known as Scorch, because they were harvesting his fiery. His fire-making ability for his blood platelets. That's right. He has fireproof blood platelets. Apparently, that keeps him from burning when he's making fire in his hands. Unlike Pyro in X-Men, he can create fire out of thin air, whereas Pyro actually needs a cigarette lighter or something like that to make the fire. He can control it. He just can't do anything like that. And the agents also, of course, talk about the Index, which is a short list of X-Men types with special abilities. And I'm wondering whether or not, at this point, S.H.I.E.L.D. actually has something to do with X-Men as well as the standard. You know, I mean, it's all Marvel, but with the division of the characters, X-Men at Fox and Spider-Man at Columbia, and pretty much everyone else separate from those guys. Oh, and the Fantastic Fours with Fox as well. There wouldn't necessarily be any S.H.I.E.L.D. X-Men crossovers, because S.H.I.E.L.D. is something that's been purely the domain of Marvel Studios, the ones that they've been making for Paramount, Iron Man and the Avengers and all that stuff, Captain America. By the way, they had a trailer come out for the new Captain America movie. It looks pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if that'll be my birthday movie. It does come out on my birthday next year, but it's one that looks like it could be a heck of a lot better than the first Captain America movie, which I didn't like very much. So let's see, yes, Centipede and the girl in the flower dress. I don't know the name of the actress who plays this character, but I found it really interesting that she wore this dress throughout the entire episode, and that they always just referred to her as the girl in the flower dress. Oh, Reina is her name. But apparently she wears it all the time. And in the very, very last scene of the episode, when the guy who she goes to talk to in prison says, "I like your dress," and she goes, "I know," I'm wondering if maybe she doesn't have some sort of special persuasive ability that's aided by her dress in some way. Why would she wear that all the time? It's like Mystique going around naked all the time so she can change into whoever she needs to look like at a moment's notice. You know, it wouldn't work if she were wearing clothes, unlike what X-Men First Class would have you believe. So I guess we'll find out more about that. We'll probably also find more about that guy in prison and the clairvoyant character who they refer to. Yeah, so there's lots more teases of stuff that have yet to come. More extremists, soldiers. They needed the blood platelets, obviously, to make them stable, so there won't be any people blowing up like they did in the pilot and in Iron Man 3. Couple references to Captain America, the fact that he's known more as Captain America than Steve Rogers, that's why they wanted to give him the name Scorch. And of course, another reference to Coulson getting hit with the Chitauri scepter, as usual. They mention that at least like once per episode, I think. Let's see right now, what else? Agent Kwan from the S.H.I.E.L.D. branch in Hong Kong. I thought at first he was a John Woo alumni. He was in one of the John Woo movies before he came to America and started making movies. Turns out, no, he wasn't in any John Woo movies, or any Chinese movies for that matter. He's been all in American movies and TV shows. But he has quite an extensive resume. His name is Tzi Ma, Tzima, Tzi Ma. And he was one of the one of Tom Hanks's crew in The Lady Killers by the Coen Brothers, and he was a character in Dollhouse, also a Joss Whedon series. And the thing that I know him best from, of course, as a member of the Chinese embassy in 24, he gave Jack Bauer a heck of a lot of trouble during seasons 4 and 5, or at least the end of season 5. He pops up at the very end as a nice little appearance. He was also in Chain Reaction, RoboCop 2, but I really don't remember who he was in those movies. Let's see. Oh yeah, some of the better lines in this movie. There's the scene in Hong Kong where they're Coulson and May are talking with Quan and saying, okay, well, how are we going to get in the building? And Coulson says, the roof. And the camera move is just perfect. It circles around them and stops just at the moment where May is zipping up on the line up to the roof of the building, just as that line comes. It's a nice little shot. Let's see now. We all have to do things that make us uncomfortable if we are ever to get our toy soldiers off the shelf. That's something that Raina says to the guy in prison at the end. I like that line. Oh yeah, Leiden has a good line. He says they get, you know, a day, if he says to Skye, if they ever give you a day off at S.H.I.E.L.D, I'll get us a suite at the fancy hotel that has suites, because he doesn't know the name of the hotel. That's funny. There were a couple of lines that actually seemed very, very similar to previous Joss Whedon lines. One is one that sort of reminded me of Willow's line in season 6 when after Tara gets killed and she just soaks up all the dark magic she can and starts going on a rampage to get the nerds, the evil nerds. Buffy says to her, you know, if you keep doing this, Willow, you may not be able to come back. And Willow says, I'm not coming back, meaning she wants to stay this way. There's another line like that where they're talking with Scorch, where May is talking in Chinese with Scorch, Chan Ho Yin, and she says, you know, there's no turning back at some point, and he says, I don't want to go back. That's a very similar line. Also a very similar line to Buffy, the film, the 1992 film. There's a line where Buffy's talking to the Watcher, played by Donald Sutherland, and she says, you know, the vampires have, I have something that vampires don't have, my keen fashion sense. And Donald Sutherland goes, oh, vampires of the world, beware. And she says, my goodness, you made a joke. Are you all right? Do you want to lie down? I know it hurts the first time. And there was a line like that where Ward sort of pays Skye a compliment, but he dismisses it as a comment, not really a compliment. And Skye says, it's a kind compliment, actually. Did it physically hurt you? Did you need an ice pack? That's a good one. I'm a little unhappy about the fact that ABC in the non-HD, because I don't have an HD set, that they don't letterbox the show. Clearly the show needs to be letterboxed, needs to be shown in its full aspect ratio. They do that for HD broadcasts and for the DVDs, of course, but they should just broadcast it letterboxed all the time. There's a weird mirror shot where Chan wakes up at the lab, at the centipede, it's the centipede lab, right? And there's a reflection in the mirror, and most of the shot is out of focus except for Raina, who's reflected in the mirror. But it's all the way over to the side, so you can hardly see her. And there's a few shots like that in most of the episodes I watch. It's something that ABC tends to do. They have all their shows in 16:9, but they're cropped on non-HD broadcasts. I really wish they would letterbox them. It would just make more sense to do that. What else? Leiden, yeah, I don't know who that guy is. I'm not really sure how to spell his name, actually. One thing that I noticed, this is sort of inconsequential, but when they dose Torch and he combusts spontaneously, they have to get out of the building and direct the flow of the fire up through the roof ventilation system, and it kind of goes like that. It actually mirrors the pattern of the fire, the movement of the flame mirrors the lights on a Hong Kong skyscraper that's off in the distance in another shot. You see, it's a nighttime scene, so you see the skyscraper and these lights are kind of working their way up the tower, crisscrossing each other like that, and the fire does the same thing coming out of the roof. I just thought that was clever. Not that it makes any difference, but just a nice little touch, kind of cool. I think that's everything. Made a lot of notes this time around, a lot of notes for this episode. And yeah, there's a lot more on Skye, obviously, but I'm sad that she's on probation. The guys are going to have a hard time trusting her, because I was hoping they would, despite her, you know, keeping secrets and everything like that. Everybody has secrets, you know. But apparently she's going to be hindered in her ability to aid them, as well as her ability to get on their good side for a while. So, I don't know, I guess we'll see. But a new episode this Tuesday, most likely, and I hope that if you tune in for that, you enjoy it. I hope I enjoy it. Thanks very much for watching. Comment if you want to talk about this episode, of course. But don't feel like you're obligated to, because I'm not in the business of making sure that I come up more frequently in search engines. Don't care about that. Thanks very much, guys. See you later.